Cringe, Kinsey, as if the whole episode couldn't get a lot worse, then Prince Harry has to even phone in.
Why did you not prepare me for that jump scare?
Sorry.
I know. That was a lot of face. That was a lot of forehead from Prince Harry.
Meghan Markle reportedly, quote, frustrated. The word, quote, royal was used during MasterChef appearance. Well, why else is she there? Why else is she there? April 20th. While it seemed like a very fitting introduction, a source told News Australia on Monday, April 20th, that the As Ever founder and her team are, quote, very frustrated, adding that they'd specifically made it clear that they did not want the word royal.
So she started off as a contestant. She's now a judge, really beloved in Australia. So obviously Meghan decided to hate her and decide that she's a real and she totally castigated Poe behind the scenes for...
Let us know that. And we see a microcosm of that in this latest MasterChef press release, which comes from Paramount. And it's, again, like I said in the intro, it's just cringy in the extreme. All the things that are mentioned, including like, make a dish worthy of a duchess. And I'm like, really? Really?
It was supposed to be flawless, the perfect comeback, the perfect image, the perfect illusion of control, but from the very first second, something didn't sit right. Because what MasterChef presented as Meghan Markle's triumphant return to lifestyle credibility quietly began exposing something else entirely. A performance so carefully constructed that even the cracks felt edited. The applause was there, the music was there, the smiles were there, and yet beneath that polished surface, every word, every pause, every glance started to feel like a clue pointing to a deeper problem nobody on screen was willing to say out loud. Everything sounded rehearsed, almost too smooth, like lines memorized instead of thoughts formed in real time. And that's where the tension began to build. Because when someone is placed in the safest possible environment, surrounded by praise, supported by production, and still struggles to sound natural, the issue is no longer pressure. It's authenticity. And as the episode moved forward, that controlled environment began revealing something far more uncomfortable, the more Meghan spoke. The less clear her expertise became. Then came the moment that should have been effortless, the simplest question imaginable. The kind that doesn't require preparation, performance, or pressure. What's your favorite dish to cook for your family? That question wasn't a trap. It wasn't a challenge. It was an invitation. And yet, instead of a dish, instead of a memory, instead of a single clear answer, what followed was a cascade of vague categories, shifting preferences, and carefully polished descriptions that never actually landed anywhere. No meal, no name, no proof, just language. And that's where the first real fracture appeared. Because Meghan Markle wasn't standing there as a random celebrity guest, she was standing there as someone actively selling a food identity, promoting a lifestyle brand, presenting herself as a figure of culinary confidence. This wasn't casual. This was business. And yet, when given the cleanest opportunity to reinforce that image, she delivered what sounded less like cooking knowledge and more like marketing copy words like fresh, seasonal, balanced descriptions that belong on labels, not on dinner tables. Then something even more telling happened. The conversation drifted. Not toward technique, not toward food, but toward something safer: how Australians pronounce the word herbs. A linguistic detour, subtle but revealing, because it shifted attention away from the one thing she had failed to provide, a real answer. And that shift didn't feel accidental. It felt like a rescue. And just when there was another chance to regain control, another opportunity appeared. What would she cook from the ingredients in front of her? This was it. This was the moment to demonstrate instinct, authority, presence. But instead of clarity, the answer stretched again: pesto, pasta, fish, possibilities stacking on top of possibilities until even the host had to step in and cut through the fog with a simple phrase. So many things. Not guidance, not direction, just containment. That interruption wasn't dramatic. It didn't need to be, because what it revealed was far more subtle and far more damaging. The professional host, the actual authority in the room, had to stabilize the conversation. And in that moment, the roles quietly shifted. Meghan wasn't leading. She was being managed. And the deeper you look, the clearer the pattern becomes. Meghan's language never moved into technical territory. It stayed safely within emotion, storytelling, branding hero ingredients, nostalgia, meaningful connections, beautiful words, effective in marketing, but completely insufficient in a competitive kitchen where timing, heat, texture, and precision decide outcomes. Because while she spoke in impressions, the real judges spoke in specifics. They identified techniques. They broke down execution. They connected dishes to cultural backgrounds with precision. And suddenly, without any confrontation, without any direct conflict, a hierarchy formed. Knowledge didn't need to announce itself, it simply took over the room. And then came a moment that shifted attention away from the food entirely. A contestant received detailed, culturally grounded feedback from a host who clearly understood the dish. Meghan, sitting beside her, fell silent. No interruption, no addition, just silence. And that silence became louder than anything she had said before, because it wasn't edited out, it was left in. That silence created a contrast that the show couldn't hide. One voice carried authority naturally. The other needed constant reinforcement. And that's when the episode began to feel less like a cooking competition and more like a carefully structured narrative designed to maintain a specific image. Because everything pointed back to Meghan. The introduction praised her. The contestants praised her. The challenge revolved around her. Even the slogan, "Make it sparkle" for Meghan Markle, didn't just include her, it centered her as the purpose of the entire event. But here's where it became uncomfortable. When a contestant built his concept around her, when he openly said he was inspired by her and wanted to reflect California through his dish, Meghan's response didn't redirect the spotlight, it pulled it closer. She appreciated that he was thinking about her. In a competition where contestants are fighting for survival, for validation, for opportunity, the focus remained locked on her. And then the control extended even further. A simple time call, something usually shouted across the kitchen in seconds, became a personal tour. Meghan moved from station to station, delivering the same message individually, creating mini interactions, slowing the room down, reshaping a routine moment into something intimate, something performative, something undeniably centered on her presence. It looked charming on the surface, elegant even, but underneath, it revealed something else entirely. The inability to let a moment remain functional. The need to transform it into something personal, something memorable, something controlled. And every time that happened, the competition itself took a step back. Because this wasn't just about cooking anymore. It was about image. And then came the banana bread. This should have been the safest moment of all, a nostalgic callback, a warm exchange, a guaranteed success. But when Meghan tasted it, her reaction didn't immediately match the script. There was a pause, a flicker, something unpolished. And for a split second, before the composed version returned, the audience saw something real. That moment mattered more than anything else. Because this wasn't raw footage. This was the final edit. Every angle selected, every reaction chosen, every second approved. And yet, that hesitation remained. Which leads to the question nobody on screen asked: if this is what they kept, what did they remove? Because if the best version still shows uncertainty, deflection, and moments of visible disconnect, then the unseen material becomes the real story. How many pauses were cut? How many answers were shortened? How many reactions were replaced? And more importantly, who made those decisions and why? Because the deeper this goes, the less it looks like a simple television appearance, and the more it starts to feel like something being carefully held together, piece by piece, in real time, while the illusion slowly begins to slip. And just when the pressure of that controlled illusion started to become visible, the entire dynamic of the room shifted in a way that felt almost too precise to be accidental. Because right in the middle of tasting, right in the middle of scrutiny, right in the middle of a moment where Meghan's authority in the kitchen was quietly being questioned, Prince Harry appeared. Not off camera, not later, not casually, but perfectly timed, perfectly framed, delivered directly into her hands through a crew member as if the moment had been waiting to happen. And that's where everything changed instantly. Because the second Harry appeared on FaceTime, the entire conversation stopped being about food. It stopped being about technique. It stopped being about whether Meghan could hold her ground in a professional kitchen. Suddenly, the contestants weren't focused on their dishes, they were waving at a prince. The judges weren't leading the discussion, the moment had been hijacked by royal presence. And just like that, the narrative reset itself. But here's the detail that refuses to stay quiet. Television does not work like that. Phones don't just appear. Crew members don't interrupt active filming without coordination. Cameras don't magically align at the exact second something spontaneous happens. Audio doesn't capture itself. That moment didn't just happen, it was allowed to happen. Planned, positioned, executed. And that raises the real question. Why then? Why at the exact moment when Meghan's cooking authority was starting to feel unstable? Why at the precise second when the focus needed to shift away from uncertainty and back toward something undeniable, her royal identity? Because whether intentional or not, the effect was immediate. The conversation didn't just change, it was rescued. And that rescue exposed the central contradiction running through the entire episode. Meghan was there to prove independence, to present herself as a businesswoman, a lifestyle authority, a figure who stands on her own credibility. But the loudest, most memorable, most impactful moment of the entire appearance didn't come from her expertise. It came from her connection to Prince Harry. That contradiction didn't resolve itself. It deepened. Because even as the show leaned into her identity as a global icon, philanthropist, humanitarian, business, something quietly disappeared. The word royalty. Not reduced, not rephrased. Removed, and that removal didn't shrink her introduction, it expanded everything else around it. As if the absence of that single word had to be compensated with even more exaggerated praise. And that kind of edit doesn't happen without reason. Promotional material reportedly used the word. The final broadcast did not. Which means at some point between promotion and airing, someone made a decision, deliberate, specific, controlled, to change how Meghan was framed. Not who she is, not what she represents, but how she is presented to the audience in that exact moment. And once one detail is adjusted that carefully, every other edit becomes suspect. Because if they changed that, what else did they change? The rumors surrounding that decision only made things more volatile. Reports claimed the host who used the word royalty became deeply upset, allegedly pushed to tears, even wanting to contact Meghan directly before production intervened. There is no confirmed footage of what happened behind the scenes, but the edit exists. The change exists. And in a production built entirely on control, even one visible alteration becomes a signal. And the signals didn't stop there, because outside the studio, another problem quietly surfaced: availability. Meghan was promoting a lifestyle image, presenting products, reinforcing a brand identity tied to food, hospitality, and elegance. But critics quickly pointed out something that undercut the entire effort. Australian viewers, the very audience watching the episode, couldn't easily access those products. The image was global. The reality was limited, which exposed another pattern. Attention first, infrastructure later. And that same pattern echoed in her responses throughout the episode. When asked about being a MasterChef fan, she gave the safest answer possible: of course. Who isn't? When asked to choose between the Australian and American versions, she refused. No preference, no risk, no commitment, just neutrality. And suddenly, the entire structure of her presence became clear. Avoid specifics, avoid risks, avoid anything that can be challenged. Replace it with language that sounds good but proves nothing. Categories instead of answers, emotions instead of techniques, presence instead of performance. And the more you trace that pattern, the more it stops looking like coincidence. Which leads to the final, unresolved question that refuses to disappear. If this was the safest possible version, if this was the most polished edit, if this was the appearance designed to protect, elevate, and confirm her authority, then what exactly is sitting on the cutting room floor? What moments were too long to fix? What answers couldn't be shortened? What reactions couldn't be replaced? Because if the illusion required this much control just to hold together on camera, then whatever was removed might not just complicate the story, it might completely change it.